What are the three big issues for you as Speaker? This will be your second term as Speaker. What are your three big issues?
Well, first of all, I want to make sure that Abigail Spanberg, our new governor-elect, is successful. That's my number one job, to make sure the people resoundingly elected her, a 15-point margin in Virginia. So we want to make sure that her agenda is carried out, her vision that the voters voted for, that we're working with her lockstep. She talked about affordability, making sure that we lower the cost of energy, lower the cost of groceries. We're going to do everything we can this cycle to take away. We got away with the state grocery tax. Now we want to help eliminate the local grocery tax. That's one of the things I want to do, to lower the price of goods. While Washington, D.C. is raising the cost of things, we want to, in Virginia, lower the cost of things. We want to make our tax system fair. We want to cut taxes for the most people and doing the most good. Right now, we want to cut taxes this cycle. We want to make sure that we continue to buttress our education system, give the teachers what they need, make sure that we continue to hire and retain great teachers here in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And then we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to address these rising energy costs. We have to deal with the data centers to make sure that they're paying their fair share. We need to make sure we can do everything that we can. We've spent billions of dollars. Virginia taxpayers have made investments in clean energy to get that return. We got the coastal offshore wind project that DC is blocked right now. We need to do everything that we can to get that back on board. That project is costing Virginians $5 million a week. It is a lot of money. We need to get back in there now. That is enough power to power hundreds of thousands of homes in Virginia and lower the cost of everybody. So we're hopeful that that project will get back on. That's one of our biggest priorities, and I think it's common sense. So we're going to do everything we can to make sure that we address those issues and also continue to support our law enforcement and our public safety apparatus.
Affordable Virginia. Mm-hmm. Is that that's the name of your
I mean, it's not a name of a program.
Pushing an affordable Virginia agenda. What is that agenda?
That affordable Virginia agenda is the agenda that the voters told us. This is not politicians coming up with something to tell voters. This is what voters told us. This is, for once, politicians listening to voters who told us that agenda is lowering the cost of groceries, lowering the cost of everyday goods, cutting taxes, lowering the cost of what it takes for people to go back and forth to work, lowering the cost of transportation, making transportation more accessible, removing some of the clogs. Those are the things we want to do. Making sure that we have access, not only to access to health care, but make sure we have access to affordable health care. So we want to make sure that we do everything we can. The federal government has passed down a lot of the cost of health care to the states, and Virginia is going to have to step up to face that challenge, and we're ready to do that, to make health care not only affordable but accessible, both.
Let me go back to the wind project out there. We know what's happened. Trump has frozen, basically, it. Mm-hmm. And we're paying this. Yeah. What does Virginia do about that? What do you, as the Speaker of the House, with a new, is it a supermajority? Are we calling it?
It's not a supermajority. It's 64 out of 100. It's only 64 out of 100.
Yes.
67 is a supermajority. So I'm working on that for 27.
How did you do it?
We did it by listening to voters. I mean, you think about the chaos, the cruelty, the corruption that's coming out of D.C. People in Virginia said, you know what? We want a different alternative. And I think Virginians pushed back. They saw the impact that it was having. They wanted grown-ups in the room that were going to speak to their needs and not spend all of that time worrying about where kids pee and poop every day. That whole transgender bathroom stuff. People are fighting every day to figure out, how do I get my kids in a good school? How do I get good teachers? How do I make sure I can afford to pay for the house that I live in, pay my rent? Those are the issues that people were working on. Meanwhile, the Republicans were talking about transgender stuff, cultural stuff, and we kept focusing on kitchen table issues. When I'm sitting at the table with my wife and my daughter trying to figure out how we're going to make ends meet, we're not talking about the things that the Republicans are talking about. And so hopefully we'll get Republicans back, the old school Republicans that I grew up with, who were, conservative, foreign policy, defense interested, security interested in defending ourselves and the rest of the world and being a leader in the world. I'm waiting on that republic. I think America does better when we have a strong two-party system where everybody is grown up and mature. And right now we don't have a good partner on the other side of the aisle. And I think Virginia voters said they're not a good partner, and that's why they took the shellacking that they took, and we won so many seats for the largest majority in Virginia since 1987. And I think we're going to continue to move that way if they don't stand up to the leadership that they have in D.C. And this is the first time we've had the same speaker back to back since, 2017? I think Bill Howell was the last speaker that was elected 2 times in a row. He was 2013, 2015, and then Kurt Cox took 2017, and then we took the majority in 19, and blah, blah, blah. And then Eileen Phillicorn, and then Todd Gilbert, then me, and now, thank God I get the privilege of serving again right here from the city of Portsmouth.
And you're being modest because you, through your program that you and I have discussed before, you went out and you found someone to run in every seat. Had 100 quality people you thought were running, and you flipped 13 seats, and you raised, I don't say you, but I mean you're the titular head of that, $67 million. $67 million for all of those races, and I think the Republicans came in at somewhere around 23, 24, 25 million. Wasn't that the difference?
Well, I think the money is only an indication of the enthusiasm and the belief that people have in knowing that you're going to implement the vision that they have, implement the concerns and deal with the concerns that they have. And I think that's what the money does. We had a record number of small dollar donors. I'm proud that we had 10 to 1. You can look it up. 10 to 1, 20 to 1 in the number of small dollar donors, people who gave $100 or less. Those are people who said, I'm invested. And when you invest like that, you're going to go out and vote, and you're going to go out and tell your friends. These are people who are middle class and low income folks that need a hand up, need some help, and those are the folks that we're going to be looking at. And I'm excited. And it wasn't just in urban areas. We improved in every single locality in Virginia, from the reddest to the bluest. All of them moved towards us. We didn't win them all, but we moved towards us. And so I think there's something to be said about dealing and talking only to people's concerns around their economic issues, around their kids' education, around public safety. You know, old school staples that we used to be, that we talked about before we started dealing with some of the cultural issues that other folks want to talk about.
The hit on you is that you are very unfair to Republicans. But I'm reminded of the saying, to the victor goes the spoils. How much pain are you going to enact on Republicans?
No pain at all. No pain at all. I think the voters enacted the pain on them, not me. I think the voters decimated their party, not me. I think they have to take a look at themselves and look in the mirror. The voters told them to change course, and maybe they will and maybe they won't. I have a very, very good relationship with my old friend Todd Gilbert, the former speaker. I was invited to his unveiling of his portrait that'll be hanging in the chamber. I was one of the few members of the General Assembly there. It was only one other elected Republican, no, 2 other elected Republicans, and myself, along with his family and friends. So I take great pride in having those relationships across the aisle. I have a very good working relationship with the incoming Minority Leader, Terry Kilgore. I know that we have to govern together. I just need them to be a good governing partner and spend the energy that they have focusing on what do we need to do. Do we want to raise the standard deduction for Virginians so we can capture, so a person that's making $1 million isn't paying the same tax rate as somebody who's a firefighter or a teacher making $50,000. Do we want to deal with that? Do we want to deal with those type of issues and have some real robust conversations to make sure that we are giving middle class folks tax cuts? And that's what we want to do.
The election is over, but I want to ask you about that election, dealing with Todd Gilbert and Jay Jones, and what Todd Gilbert knew from the start. You know, what happened with that was a tax that was 2 or 3 years before. 3 years. 3 years before they chose the right opportunity to try to get as much leverage out of that issue. Todd Gilbert, what is your knowledge that he knew about these and chose to do nothing?
I have no idea what excuse me. I have no idea what former Speaker Gilbert knew.
Let me start again.
Okay. I said I have no idea what former Speaker Todd Gilbert knew or didn't know. He's a good friend of mine. I do know this. I know that he never wanted to be involved in the whole process because I talked to him. I know that he and Attorney General-elect Jones spoke. Attorney General-elect Jones did apologize. But I do find it the cynical use of politics, the same old politics, and I think most people saw through it, which is why
you think it backfired?
I think it backfired. I think it was a mistake. I think most people saw through it as some cynical politics. Think about this. Mark Herring won by less than one-tenth of 1% his first time. The second time he won by about 4%. Jason Mieres won by about almost not even 2% when he won. Jay Jones won collectively by more votes and percentage than the last 3 attorney generals elected combined. And so I think that says a lot. He won by almost 7%.
Were
and
you
so,
surprised he won?
I was not surprised. I always knew, and I had the polling. And so I talked to folks and I looked at it, and I know Jay. You know, his dad, Gerald Jones, is a mentor to me. His grandmother, Miss Corinne, they sat in the pew ahead of me and my daughter at Grace Episcopal Church for years. I know where Jay's heart is, despite whatever those 3-year-old messages sent to a private colleague. They were terrible. Nobody can justify them. I wouldn't say them even in jest or to a friend. But at the end of the day, voters wanted somebody who was going to stand up to what's going on in the chaos, the cruelty, and the corruption in this country. And unfortunately, the current Attorney General wouldn't even show the backbone to stand up. And people wanted to see, do you have a spine to stand up? And they picked somebody who had a spine and who would stand up to the chaos that's coming out of D.C.
Let me go back, because it is a big issue and it deals with millions of dollars, as you said. Let me go back to the windmills out there.
The offshore wind project, coastal offshore
wind. You know, and of course, President Trump has put it on hold. What is your message? What when you gave the number? It's costing Virginians $5 million, $5 million
a day.
A day. What does that cost? I mean, what is it costing? I mean,
that's $150 million a month. I mean, at the end of the day, that's money that could be used to that the Commonwealth of Virginia.
What's $150 million a month?
I mean, if $5 million a day times 30, that's $150 million a month.
Yeah, but what is that? What is the cost? What is costing?
That money is money that's not going out into Dominion is spending that amount of money to keep that project going, and they're not collecting any revenue from it to offset it. The taxpayers have already invested in that. That's the way our system is set up. So the taxpayers Dominion gets reimbursed from the Commonwealth, from their ratepayers, and so the ratepayers have already paid for it. And we're not collecting any return on that investment.
Are you doing anything to lessen the blow to
We're trying to we are. We're trying to do things to make
What can you do?
The only thing that we can do right now, not regarding the coastal offshore wind project, that's nothing we can do. I mean, that's all on the president. And unfortunately, the federal government's all on President Trump. What I would say to President Trump is, hey, we know you have issues, but this project is already underway. It was supposed to go online in March. It's supposed to go online and start helping Virginia families in March.
Can't an argument be made if you have started construction? I'm not talking about just on paper. I'm talking if you've put up
they spend billions.
Yeah. If you've already put up the infrastructure of the
It's ready. Yeah, if the windmills are up.
Done it,
they're up.
Shouldn't they be grandfathered and say we are going to at least honor these?
I would hope so, but we have a non-traditional president right now, and we'll see what happens. I don't want to criticize him because I'm praying for him. I really am, and I tell my friends, pray for him to have a change of heart, so that Virginians won't have to suffer because of his political ideology.
What can we expect with these 13 new House members?
They are very.
What does that mean? Tell me what it means.
I mean, it means that
committee assignments. Republicans are being moved more and more out of the center of anything that is important. Fair?
No, I think
you all are controlling everything.
I think we have been given the privilege and the honor. Virginians have entrusted us to deliver for them. And it's not even about the politics or the Democrat versus R. It's about the people. And at the end of the day, what are you going to do for the people? They don't care if you have a D or an R. They care that you care about what their concerns are. And so I don't think it's about us having all of the committee assignments or any of the inside baseball stuff and the making of sausage. People want to know at the end of y'all's process stuff that you're talking about, are you going to deliver for me? And I think at the end of the day, it's not about winning if you don't deliver. And so my biggest challenge to all of my people, even though we have a bigger majority, the Republicans had this same majority at the beginning of 2017. So the pendulum swings quickly if you don't respond to the people. And that's what I want to make sure, that we don't get complacent and that we don't overreach, that we do what we need to continue to stay in the middle where most folks are and deliver for Virginia.
Let me follow up on that. What is the goal? What is the plan to make sure that you don't fall out? Because it is a cyclical thing. You know, in 10 years, you know, maybe the Republicans are back in.
Not if I can help it.
Yeah, tell me, what do you do to make sure that doesn't happen?
I think we have to continue.
Because I hear it all the time.
Yeah.
People say, "Oh, it's a you just said it. The
Yeah.
pendulum
Yeah.
swinging
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
and that."
And
What do you do to not get the pendulum to swing?
You have to stay focused and grounded, and you got to go out. I always tell my members, go out and touch some grass, talk to normal people. Because if you stay in the internet and the social media world and the news world, you're not gonna stay grounded. I think the key to this whole thing is to stay grounded, to stay in the middle, to continue to deal with everyday kitchen table issues that Virginians care about. Treat these issues with the sober-mindedness and the seriousness that they deserve, and get the work done.
What are you going to do about raising wages? Minimum wage.
We're raising minimum wages. We're raising that. That's a day one bill that'll pass easily, and the governor will sign it, and we'll get Virginia up to $15 an hour across the board. I think $30,000 is this is what $15 equates to. $30,000 salary a year, $15 time. If you work 40 hours a week, that's 2,080 hours. I don't think it's, you know, something. Most companies don't find that as being deleterious to their business to have to pay somebody $30,000 a year. That's the minimum wage.
Affordable housing.
We're going to do that. We passed a bill. The governor vetoed it last year to be able to give new homeowners a grant to be able to purchase and have the down payment to buy that. We're going to pass that bill again, and we're going to get it done. And we have the resources to do it. We had a surplus here in Virginia, even though the federal government hurt us with jobs, hurt us with federal contracting, hurt us with some defense sector jobs, hurt us with our veterans. But we're going to continue to try to invest in Virginians because we know we get a return on an investment when Virginians want to stay here, live, work, learn, and play here in Virginia.
Okay, state jobs.
We're going to continue to the state job market is really robust, but we're going to continue to keep it where it is. We're not going to grow state jobs. We're going to keep those state jobs flat where they are because I think we can deliver the services we have where we are. I think that's one of the few things that I will grant to Governor Youngkin. I think he did a good job making sure that we had the number of jobs that we needed to get the job done, and I think we're in a good place regarding state jobs. We do need to make sure that we give them the right to collectively bargain and protect them, and we're going to do that this year.
Yeah, codifying Youngkin's executive order waiving college degree requirements for some state jobs is proposed.
Yeah, we're going to do that. It makes sense. Every state job doesn't require a college degree, and so we're going to make sure that the managers and the supervisors have the ability to take folks who may have the experience but may not have a college degree.
School funding.
We're going to get that done. We're going to get that done, and we're going to do some construction school funding. We're going to pass a bill to create the ability for localities to be able to manage their own school funding priorities and do a 1-cent tax if they want to do it. They can vote on it or not. It'll be a local referendum. We want to give more local control to localities to be able to raise the school construction fund that they need.
Teacher support.
Oh, we've done a great job lifting the support cap. We already passed that last year. We put more money in the public schools than anybody. We put $2 billion in the public schools over the last 2 years. We're going to continue to keep that funding level for them to be able to give them all the resources that they need.
What about the school meals?
We're working on that.
Breakfast, lunch for all students?
Yeah, we're working on that because we want to
all students, regardless of socioeconomic status?
All students, because we want to remove the stigma dealt with the students who come in and they have to apply and then the other kids tease them. So we just think there's a way that we can do that, and every kid can just opt in. They don't have to go through it. They don't have to take the free school lunch, but we want every kid to have the opportunity so we don't stigmatize kids. We want kids to come to school ready to learn. We don't want them sitting in class hungry, and then we don't want them to be ashamed that they may need something. So we're going to get that done.
Tell me about locally, what are some for different localities?
I mean, who's against kids eating breakfast at school? I mean, who's against that? It's a cost savings. At the end of the day, it's an investment, and kids they learn, and it ends up benefiting all of us if those kids are learning.
And if people want to bring their own lunch,
they can still do it, and they don't have to. It's just an option. Yeah. And they don't even have to take it back. We're making it available. They don't even have to opt in.
What are the 3 biggest projects in Hampton Roads that is going to be one of the headlines coming out of this year's General Assembly? Norfolk's flood wall,
We're working on that. I think they've gotten some funding before. We'll probably do some more funding. That is an ongoing project, along working with the Army Corps of Civil Engineers to make sure we do that. That thing is so expensive that we're going to continue to work on that. We're going to make sure that we complete the Hampton Roads Bridge Tunnel that everybody hates. We're going to continue to get that done. If you're coming down 64, we're going to continue to widen those roads on transportation. That makes all the difference in what they call the urban crescent, coming from Northern Virginia down through 64, all the way down to Virginia Beach and beyond. It even benefits North Carolina and the Eastern Shore, not the Eastern Shore, as well as the Outer Banks, that we get these roads done. Those are the biggest economic drivers for Hampton Roads, making sure we get our transportation right and not become as congested as Northern Virginia is. We're getting close, but we can do that, we'll be able to get it done. And the Coastal Offshore Wind Project is a huge project. The Portsmouth Marine Terminal, the Norfolk Marine Terminal, as we continue to work on those projects, those are huge economic drivers. And then we need to make sure that we continue to invest in our workforce development at the shipyard, with the ports, with Newport News shipbuilding. Those are the things that are going to continue to grow, and it's an ecosystem that works for everybody. We have in Portsmouth and in Hampton Roads in general, we have a blue economy based on what we have. The asset that we have is our water. Hampton Roads, people think Hampton Roads is the street. Hampton Roads is the waterways that we have the privilege of living in. We have a beautiful area here, and we have a beautiful area to trade. We have the railroads coming in. We have the ships coming in. We just have to continue to grow those. Our container economy is up huge. The TCs that come into the port, they've grown even while we face the tariffs. They went backwards with the tariffs, but I think we're starting to come back now because I think folks are realizing that the tariffs didn't work, and the president has made a lot of exceptions, and that's continuing to drive up our container.
I'm the owner of a small business. I am concerned about your going in and raising the minimum wage because that's going to hurt my bottom line. What do you say to those business owners?
I don't believe that's going to happen. I think most of the folks who have small business are already paying. Nobody's retaining good talent paying less than $15 an hour.
The Chamber of Commerce is very concerned about it.
The Chamber of Commerce is also, they're not concerned about the minimum wage. I've met with the Chamber of Commerce. You need to talk to them. They're for raising the minimum wage. I think they know that the minimum wage does not impact most of the people that work for them. If you have talent that's working for less than...
The Virginia Chamber of Commerce has told you they are not concerned about raising the minimum wage.
I've met with them. I've spoken with them. I've given speeches. Matter of fact, I've asked all of them, raise your hand if you have a problem with the minimum wage being at 15. I said, raise your hand if you're paying anybody on your team less than $15 an hour. Not one person raised their hand. You know why? You can't retain talent for these companies that are members of the chamber for $15 an hour. That's $30,000 a year. Come on now. You'd slit your wrist, Andy Fox, if you was making $30,000 a year. Look at his face. He said, I damn sure would. You remember that.
And 40 years ago, I came to work.
See that? 40 years ago. The economy's changed. 40 years, he still want people to make what he was making 40 years ago. Crazy.
Oh, my gosh. That's unfair.
How you going to have a working mom making $30,000 a year?
I wonder, what else? Is there anything else you want to say?
No, I'm just excited about the opportunity. I'm just excited about the opportunity that we have. I'm excited about the opportunity that the Commonwealth of Virginia has entrusted us with to work on big issues. Another thing that you didn't talk about, this is one thing I'm going to talk about. We're going to make sure that we pass the 4 constitutional amendments that we need to pass this cycle to get them to the voters, and we're going to do that. We're going to pass a constitutional amendment to make sure that we legalize the right to marry who you love. Right now, Virginia has a ban on gay marriage. You want the phone to stop ringing? Doggone phone.
I do want to get into, go through them quickly.
I will. Because I got to get out of here.
Did you have any questions?
Do not.
I covered every damn thing, didn't I,
Oh
Dwight?
my God, you are so good. He's always been good.
Somebody's supposed to be answering
Okay.
this phone. So
Tell me about so you are going to get through the 4 amendments.
we're going to pass those 4 constitutional amendments on the very first day of session. We're going to make history, the things that people have been waiting on their whole life. We're going to pass the right to marry who you love. Right now in Virginia, there's a ban on gay marriage. The federal Supreme Court says they overruled and said you have a right to marry who you love. But in Virginia, we still have it in our code that it's a ban. That means if the federal government overturns it and says it goes to the states, it triggers Virginia's law, which immediately makes all gay marriage illegal. So we're going to pass a ban. We're going to pass a constitutional right to marry who you love. We're going to do that day one. Day one, we're going to restore every person's right to vote once they finish their sentence. Felon restoration of rights. As you know, that's something near and dear to my heart. I had to have my rights restored, and I'm not ashamed to say it. I'm proud of the fact that a Republican governor, Bob McDonnell, actually restored my rights to vote, which is why I'm Speaker of the House right now, because I got civically engaged. I was able to take care of my family and be involved in my community, and that's a blessing. And third, we're going to make sure that we enshrine the right to reproductive health rights, okay? A woman should have bodily autonomy, have a right to pre- and postnatal care, to make sure that they have right to IVF, to in vitro fertilization if they need it, make sure that they have right to contraception. All of that's going to be in that right to reproductive health. And then we're going to also pass a redistricting amendment to allow us to do mid-district, mid-10-year cycle redistricting. We're going to pass that to allow us to redraw congressional maps. And the voters are going to have the final say. If the voters say no, I respect it. But if the voters say, hey, we're in a 911 situation with what's happening at the federal situation, we're in an emergency situation, and we need to pass new maps to make these maps more competitive so that we can push back against what the illegal gerrymandering that they did in Texas. And so we're going to push back.
So what you're going to, and in all, to let people know, the reason why you're saying this is that you know that you have the votes, and they're all going to stay in line, and they're going to vote the way that the Democratic leadership wants them to.
No.
What
They're
are
going to
they-
vote. They're going to vote the way that the voters told them. None of this is a secret. All of this we ran on. Every single thing that I'm talking about, voters knew about it, and they said, you know what? We're voting for you. And so now we have to keep our promise, and we're going to keep that promise on day one.
But what are you exactly doing on day one? I mean, that you're just allowing these 4 amendments to appear on the ballot
That's
for
it.
people to decide.
That's it. We're keeping our
Has that
promises.
been an issue trying to get that through in the past because you didn't have there were too many Republicans voting against it, or is
Oh,
this-
absolutely. They voted against the amendment to to remove the ban on gay marriage. They voted against the automatic restoration of felony rights. They voted against reproductive health care. And obviously
And
they would
those
vote against
sides
redistricting.
won.
And now we've won. They won when they were in the majority. They killed that stuff. Now that we're in the majority, we're going to pass that stuff.
To the victor goes the spoils.
If you say so, Andy. And I'm not done.